Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial about how to make this Cabin in the Woods pop-up card. It's not really hard, but there are some steps you need to follow precisely, and I'm going to learn you how to do this. This is going to be a long tutorial, longer than you're used to from me, but on the other side, I think it's important to learn it the right way and that I take all the time I need to explain you how I'm doing stuff. So I hope you'll enjoy this tutorial, take all the time you need to rebuild and follow my instructions. And if you think it's too slow, you can fast forward to parts where I'm ready for the next step. So I hope you'll enjoy this and let's get started. Okay, so this pop-up tutorial is based on this card I've made and shared a while ago. It's a Christmas house in the hills with trees surrounding it, and as you can see it's more like a scene with a house in the middle. And I'm using here mostly tent mechanisms, which is something that looks like this. This is a tent in the simplest form, and when you add a tent to your pop-up page you can also, because here is another new fold, like the center fold here, you create new folds in the pop-up. And you can add more tents on top of that, and so on and so on. So that's basically what you're seeing here. It's all this tent mechanism. And it works pretty good. And one of the most trickiest part is to make a roof that also folds in and out back to position. And that's what I'm going to learn you today. But we're going to make a bit more simple version of this card. Before I start with that, I would like to show you what tools and materials I'm using. I have a ruler for cutting. Always cut along this side, because this side will wear out. I also have a tiny ruler. Got it from my girlfriend for my birthday. It's really nice to use for small work. I also have scissors, two sorts of knives. A breaking knife, a hobby knife that you can break off when it's blunt, and I advise to start every project with a sharp knife. A precision knife, be careful with those. This is also a tutorial for adults, not for children. So if you're making this with your children, get this out of the way because it's very dangerous. Anyway, also this one has to be sharp. I like to use this one for curved shapes, small shapes, and this one for longer cutting, also using the ruler. I also have this scoring pen. It's like again a blunt tip that you can also use. You can also use an empty pen or the back of a dining knife, as long as you can draw folding scoring lines into the paper. It works pretty good, and you'll see in a minute why I'm using this. I have a pencil and an eraser. I have this tiny cutting mat. It's not necessary, but maybe it gets useful later on. I have a geometric triangle that I like to use. Also this template for the circles. The tape I'm using here is double-sided Scotch tape. So if you prefer glue, that's up to you. I like to work with tape because it's when you make a small mistake, you can take it off and improve it. This is a hole cutter. You don't need this really for this tutorial, but I've used it for the background of my card, which I'll show you here. I've prepared the card like so, and this is like the pop-up spread we're going to build on. These are stars, so I've cut these out using this and put a yellow double layer on the back, and you get something like this. And as you can see, I've left a little bit of space between the two sheets, so there's room to fold in and fold out, or open and close. It looks a little bit like this. I've used artist tape, and it's like sandwiched as a hinge between the two pages. So that's the base page, dark blue. I have a piece of gray paper. I'm going to use this for the chimney. The colored paper I'm using is about 300 grams. I have a lighter blue in case I want to add mountains in the background. There's brown for the cabin. And there's yellow for the inside of the cabin and white for the snow. I may need more white later on, but we'll see. So first thing we're going to do is make the tent. So, which I showed you here. This shape will be the base of our build. Therefore, I'm going to put this away and prepare a piece for the tent. And before I get started, I'm going to make it mirrored so I can put all kinds of notes and drawing lines on the back. When I flip it around, it won't be visible. So first I'm going to make a glue tab. So I'm aligning the page to the grid of the cutting mat. And I'm going to start with about 1 centimeter using the grid and my scoring pen to score a fold here that I can use as a glue tab later on. Now I don't have exact measurements. I'm going to use the width of my ruler, which is about 3.5 centimeters. And this works very fast and easy, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make 2 sides that are about double the width of my ruler. And I know this line is going to be a fold, so I'm going to do that right away. Put my ruler against it, draw another line, and again 1 ruler width later, drawing a scoring line. Now I have this prepared. I'm going to cut off about 1 centimeter from this fold, so I'll get another glue tab on the other side. Let me align this to the grid again. Is that correct? Yes. I'm going to be very careful. Most of my concept designs are made with artist tape, which is this white tape. And you can use tape instead of glue tabs, but in this case I'm going to build it directly in color, so white tape wouldn't look good on this. So that's why I'm already making glue tabs. For our home house cabin, I have to say, we're first going to add about a ruler width on the bottom, and our house will start from here on. This bottom part will stick into the other layers and overlap a little, and you'll see in a moment why. And I'm now adding another ruler width, double it up again, 1 more, and for the top of the roof also 1 ruler width, and that's about the last part. So I can cut this off, so I get something like this. So this is 7 centimeters, 7 centimeters, and this is 14 centimeters. So 4 times my ruler. See, okay. Now I've got this prepared. I want to have, this is going to be the bottom of the house, so I'm going to add a roof here. And I think I can cut that off directly. So let's do that first. It's a bit hard to see if I'm doing this precise enough, but I'm going to try it. So this will be the roof tip point, and I'm also going to make, let's say I'm going to use my geometric triangle for this, like so. I'm going to add a window to this roof too, so I'm going to mark it somewhere here and here, but to be more precise, it's better to, let me first see this. I think I need to make it about 3 centimeters wide width. So somewhere here is good enough. And just follow me and my steps, and you'll understand later why we're doing this. So when I cut this out, I'm going to use my ruler for that, because it has to be straight, like so. Something like this. And you'll end up having something that looks like this. So I just, in the center of this part, I've put a sort of a tab that is sticking out. Don't fold it, no need to. This is a glue tab, so you can already fold that if you like. On this side, this is going to be a fold in the center. And I prepared those with my scoring pen. And our house is going to be inverted, so I actually have to do this. So as you can see, I'm now flipping it around and there's no pencil lines. It's all on the back. Next, I'm going to draw and cut out a door and a window. And I think I'm going to make this, I'm using these lines on my geometric triangle to draw quickly parallel lines, and those are about 5 millimeters each. I'm going to draw a little guideline here for myself. So for the door, I'm going to draw a parallel line about a centimeter from the side, like so. And I'm also going to add a window here on the other side. It's hard to explain why this is, how do I say that, why I'm doing this. It's just, I think, the easiest to just follow my steps. Because I can give myself a hard time explaining this all, but if you just look at what I'm doing, let me see, this will be about 2 centimeters. That's fine. Like so. Going to make this window a little bit smaller. I'm just eyeballing what I'm doing here. Make it about 2 centimeters high, like so. That looks good to me. So this will be a window. And this will be the door. I'm going to cut these out. And I'm going to put a round window on top. In the top, I'm using the hole of 17 millimeters. I'll put it somewhere around here. Going to cut that out too. And I know this is not the fastest way to explain something, but it's a secure job, and I want you to understand why I'm doing this. I'm going to put a window here, somewhere here. So let's draw a line about 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times 5 millimeter, 2 centimeters from up the bottom. Again, this is the bottom of the house. This all below, it's going to be for the overlap. I drew a line here, 2 centimeters from that side, and I'm going to maybe, let's see, 15 millimeters from the sides. Yes, looks good. And again, 20 millimeters from the top. So I'll get a window here. That looks something like this. Okay, I hope this makes sense. You don't have to use my exact measurements. Most important part is that the base shape of this is this tent with a rooftop and this tab sticking out. Okay, I hope that was clear. I'm going to cut these out using my X-Acto knife. And I don't want this tutorial to be too long. I'm taking my time to work precise, but I could be even more precise if I was using a ruler. But that's fine for now. The door. You can also keep the door for later if you like. You can put that in with a hinge, something fun. I'm going to cut out this round window. And I know it may be hard to see because it's dark brown paper, but I'm sure that when this is cut out, it will be a lot more clear. That's the circular window. Now, why I was struggling a bit with these measurements is because I already prepared some extra parts for this, which I'm going to attach to this card, and they needed to be the same size. So please don't get too confused about how I'm measuring this, as long as these sides are the same. Okay, so let's do this first. This window, I'm going to put that on the back. Something like this. Maybe this. Yeah, this looks fine to me. Let's get some tape. Going to add that to these parts I prepared. And you can leave this step out if you like, that's totally fine. I'm just trying to add some details to this house, tiny house. Let's see. Okay, good enough. As you can see, I also drew on these sides, and I'm using the other side, so you won't see that. It will be hidden in the pop-up. This is the Scotch tape from the yellow packaging. So if you're looking for double-sided tape by Scotch, you'll find these yellow boxes, and they have no sheet, so you can use it directly from the dispenser. I'm going to align this one here, like so. Adding a bit of depth to it. I've got this part also prepared. You have to be careful to not put tape on parts that are visible. Also, you don't want tape sticking out of your project because it will make it harder to open and close a pop-up. For example, these little corners, I'm gonna cut these off. I don't want them to stick to other parts, like so. All right, let's put this in position. Not really straight, that's okay. The hardest part about making these tutorials is to find a sweet spot about what's easy enough to teach, but also something that's interesting enough to make. So I hope this is good enough. All right, that's the door. Like so. All right. This is the prepared part of the house. So I'm now going to, I'll leave this part for later on. I'm now going to glue this to the base page, which is this. And what I like to do with this is don't make a perfectly 90 degrees angle, but a little bit wider, which may also creates this depth effect, which is nice. So when I'm laying it like this, I'm trying to see if this is good enough, and if so, I'm going to mark it where I want to glue it, somewhere there, and that's about 6 centimeters exactly, to be clear. Yeah, so I'm also going to mark that up here, like so, and draw a line that I can use as a guide to glue it down. It's dark blue, I know, but it looks like this. On the other side, I'm going to do exactly the same. 6 centimeters. Mark it here and here. And draw a line between these two marks. And what you get is one mark on this side and one mark on that side. Now I'm going to glue this down. I take a piece of tape, cut it in half, put one piece on the bottom part of the glue tab, like so, and the other half on the top part of the glue tab. Oh, there's a cat hair. We have a black cat called Max, and Max loves to play where I'm working, so most of my projects are full of black cat hairs. Doing the same on the other side of the building, of the cabin, I have to say. Like so. Alright. So I've put tape on both sides of the glue tabs, this side, and I'm now going to use my marked lines to align this. I don't want this to be too high. I'm going to maybe center it on the page, something like this, like so. And now actually the best way to do this is to close this and carefully close the page and see if that worked right. And as you can see, it did here. And you'll get something that looks like this. This is our first tent. It's going to be the base of the house, and we're going to expand it with a landscape. Before we do that, I'm going to fill the inside of the house with yellow paper. And we already measured this as 6 centimeters on both sides, so 12 in total. And what I'm going to do is cut off a strip that is 6 centimeters, sorry, and use that to make the inside of the house a little bit brighter, like there's a light burning. There's actually no fast way to demonstrate this all, because it has to be in the house. It also needs a little bit room. I can't put it, as you can see, if I put this strip here, it will overlap the fold a little bit. So therefore I'm going to cut off a little bit more. So I think this will be not 6 centimeters, but 58 millimeters. And I only need to cover the inside of about this height. So I'll mark that here. No need to measure it, just eyeballing it. Like so. And this pop-up will take a little bit of time to make, but on the other side it also gives me the room to explain a couple of things. I try to be as informative as possible, giving some tips, like using this grid, the cutting mat, which works really fast. So I have these insides prepared. I'm going to put some double-sided tape on it. No need to cover the whole piece, but as long as it's over the full length. Oh. And I'm now going to stuck this inside. Make sure it's overlapping the glue tab. Doing this again, very careful. Push it down and it will look something like this on the inside. But now when you look at it, you'll see light burning in the house, and there's also some depth. Going to do the same on the other side. Again, putting some tape on it, like so. It's perfect. And now I'm going to do the same on this side. So I'm going to tuck that in, making sure it's not sticking out of the roof, like so. And it's over the glue tab of the brown part. Push it down gently. It will look something like this. All right. This is pretty straightforward, still just a tent with a background. I'm now going to add snow mountains on the back, because it's going to be a snowy landscape. Again, going to mark some guiding lines on the back, and I think if this is the bottom of the house, the snow should maybe be somewhere here. And this is how I work when I have to measure things roughly. So this is also about 9.5. I would like to have some hills, something like this. I'm going to cut that out. Like so. And I think the best way to do this now is to cut this in half, using the higher part in the center, which is a nice breaking point for the snow, like so. And now I'm going to attach this to, as you can see, it almost fits here. It's not bad. Could have done better with this one, but maybe if I flip these around. I think this is fine. I'll go for this. Make this one a little bit shorter. I should have centered it better. Cut it in half more precisely, because that way I wouldn't have to do this, but it's fine for now. Okay, a little bit more. Working on a pop-up card like this is also more like sculpting, so you build up layer by layer and in the end you'll get a nice end result. I think this will work, so let's go for this. I'm going to put tape on the back side, and I'm also going to do that, oh, be careful, over the full length of this piece of paper. If you're using glue, be careful, because if it gets too wet, it may create these bumps. And I'm also not putting tape all the way to the top, so when I want to stick in details later on, there's still room to play with. Okay, so I'm going to do something like this. Looks good. Also do the same with this part. Turn it around. Put tape on the full length. Like so. This is actually a really fun card to make, because it makes you feel a little bit like Bob Ross. You're creating your own landscape, your own little world of a peaceful cabin in the nature. That sounds good. Okay, got this prepared. Gonna turn it around, align it to the cabin, put it down, push it down carefully, and this will be the base. Looks good already, not bad. Now, the most interesting part about this tutorial is the roof, so I'm going to prepare that. Therefore, I will need a new sheet of white paper. And let me first start with just cutting out a piece that's going to be the base of our roof. The whole idea is it needs to fit on the card, so when I hold it like this, it goes all skewy and wrong. So it needs to be like this, but therefore this corner is in the way. So I'm going to take the scissors and cut off a corner just to see what aligns best. I want it to be as straight as possible on the top of the roof. I think something like this could work. And I will also need this sticking through the roof. It's a snowy roof, so that's why I'm using white. And I think something like this would be a good place. Let's first see. This will be the hardest part of making this. It's about 3 centimeters. And there's no logical way to explain what I'm doing here, but what's important is that you can take the roof off anytime you like and start over again. We don't glue the roof, it's going to be a loose part, so you can replace it when you're not happy with how it looks. I'm going to cut out a slot. And the slot is easy to remember. The difference between a slot and a slit is that a slot is in a gambling machine where you put coins in. So if this is a slot and this is a slit, you can put a coin through a slit, but you can put a coin in a slot machine. That's why it's called slot machines. Anyway, let's see how this looks when I get this tab through this cut. I'm going to make it a little bit wider, just a little bit. Like so. And our first mission is to get this roof in a comfortable way on top of this building. So what you'll see is that I will try to get something that looks like a roof, but it's not symmetrical at all. Okay, so this part is in the way a little. It's hard to show. I need to shave off just a little bit more here. Put this back on, close the card a little, so it's easier to do. Like so. Okay, and now when I look at my roof, it's all weird and out of shape. So what I can do now is cut off pieces to see what's needed to get this original roof shape back. It's going to be roughly something like this. Put it in position. This line also needs to be straight. And now it's too low, and that's perfect because I can show you how to solve this. Let's first shave off a little bit of the bottom. And on the side here, like so. And now I'm also going to make this corner a bit rounder. And this corner. Like so. Now what I need to fix is this part of the top. So I'm going to do that too. And I'm going to use this as a template to make one part, a new part that is made out of one piece. So at this stage I can still experiment a bit to see what looks best. Let's cut this off like so. I'll get something like this. Not bad. Let me see, can I improve some? What's most important is that it lays down and rests on the shape of the house. Maybe this angle can be a little bit more sharpened. So let's do that. All right. Okay, perfect. I think this is good enough. I'm going to use this as a template. Put it on a new piece of paper. And trace it with my pencil. Actually, I'm doing it wrong. I should flip it so that when I cut it out, you won't see any marks of my pencil. So again, I'm going to trace this. I know it's hard to see that I'm putting white paper on top of white paper, but if you hold on a minute. It looks something like this. I'm going to cut it out. Like so. also cutting out this slot. Very carefully. And this is what we've got now. It's one piece. Going to put this on top. And it will look something like this. I don't like the round corners so much. Going to use my scissors for that. And I'm rounding these corners because it's a snow roof. But you can decide to not do that. The most different part will be this corner. So when you have trouble this corner bending or jamming, you'll have to cut this off a little bit more. I may do that later, but let's first see how this is going to work. I've got this piece prepared. I'm going to put that on top here. Like so. Adding some tape. And this piece is a little bit wider than this tab. So when I center this on top of here, it already pushes the roof a little bit in position, forces the roof into position. So when I open and close it, oh, I have to, as you can see, this one starts bending already. I'm going to cut a little bit off this corner. Put it back on. Hold on a second, please. Center it. Well, this corner wants to bend when I close it, as you can see. So I'm going to cut off a little bit more. And this is all about trying it out, see what works for you. And more important, when you're first doing this, I advise you to just build it in white paper, because there's less pressure when you're working in a sort of a concept mode. Let's see, try this one more time. That looks better. Okay, now what's going on here is that this piece pushes the roof into this diagonal position. And that's fun and nice, but it's not really sturdy. So what we're going to do next is add another piece in here that also forces the roof into position. I'm going to do that right now. I therefore need a little bit of brown, like this scrap piece. And I'm going to look for my scoring pen, which is here. I put a score line in the center of this piece. Put a little bit of tape on the inside. Shut it close. So it's glued. I have a double layer. Now I'm going to cut this off so it's a straight shape. And also cut this off. Right. As you can see in this pop-up, I've already used this like here on this roof piece, and it pushes out the roof in position. Let's do it so you can see how this works. I've prepared this piece, and the folding side is on the long side, and I want the roof to slide over this, so I don't choose to pick the side where there's tape sandwich in between. This is just a fold, and I'm going to position that here. first put some tape on it. Alright. I'm going to align it with the line of the roof, like so. See? And this little point is going to push the roof into position when you open and close the card. So let's tape this. I have to be careful to not bend anything. You may wonder why I'm not doing this on the inside of the building, but I also would like to make a chimney later on, so that would clash. As you can see, it now works. When I open and close the card, it gets pushed into position. There's no other way for the roof to move than in this diagonal end position. And that's happening because this little window is pushing it into position, also this piece. And you can solve this better. You can make like a wooden, I don't know, wooden pieces, planks. But this is good for now. Like so. So we have a tent with a roof that also gets in position. Now for this side of the roof, it's a little bit more tricky. I need to make a V-fold. I have another scrap piece here. Now let's get a better scrap piece. Cut this off. It's going to be a V-fold that we're going to use to do the side of the roof. So I'll cut off a 90-degree angle of the paper. I'm going to use my geometrical triangle, if I can pick it up, yes, to score a diagonal line in the center, something like this, like so. And I also need glue tabs on this, so I'm going to put 5mm glue tabs on it. Don't make it too big. Cut the strip off. So it looks something like this. This is a V-fold with glue tabs, very simple. Fold over the edges, fold down the center, like so. We will only need a little bit of this, but I'm going to start big and cut it down into shape. So it needs to be like so. It needs to be attached like this. So I think that I'm going to get a pencil. I will only need this part. And maybe this is a glue tab, something like that. So it's just a small left side of the V-fold. So there's just enough room to attach it. And on the other side I'm going to take the full length. Just watch what I'm doing and follow my steps, and it may make much more sense. I hope. It's hard to make tutorials because building something is hard enough and explaining it is double as hard, so I do my best. Okay, let's get this on here. So this V-fold, I don't like how this is sticking out, so I'm going to hold it flat and cut off what's visible, like so. That's much better. Alright, now I'm going to attach this to the page and to the cabin. You get something that looks like this. When I fold it close, it folds in and out. Now I have something to attach the other side of the roof to. I think it's enough to take about 2 centimeters, maybe less, but let's start with that. And put it somewhere here. Like so. So again, first I'm looking at what's working for me. Maybe at this point of the roof. Again, this is like sculpting, so which can be pretty fun. It's a little bit too wide. I'm going to do it a little bit more like this. Like so. Yeah, that's good enough. Or maybe not. Again, this is like sculpting, so. Alright, I'm going to... I'm almost ready to attach this to the build. And therefore I'm going to cut another piece of tape in half. Like so. Add this to the V-fold, to the right side of the V-fold, to be precise. And now I have something that looks like this. You see how that works on that side. And now there are lots of ways to improve this all, because I can also make these close better, but for now I think this is perfectly fine. So we've done this. Now we are ready to add a chimney, which is going to be parallel to this line, but also parallel to this roof. So when I close the card, it will be, it's hard to see, but it will be somewhere here. That's my guess. So we're going to try that. I therefore need to get this off. I'm going to also cut a much wider slot, because this chimney needs a lot of room. It will be in a little bit of an awkward position. Like so. Now there's a slot ready for the chimney. I'm going to get some crepe paper, cut out a strip that is this width. It's about 1.5 centimeters. I'll use this side. So the chimney is going to be, the base of the chimney is going to be 15 millimeters wide. So I start off with a long strip. I can cut it shorter anytime later. So when I get this through here, I can attach it on the inside, on this side here, somewhere. If you see, I think somewhere here, low as possible, so it has more room to move. So I'm going to put some double-sided tape, stick it through again, and maybe a little bit higher, somewhere here, like so. And now I've got this done, I can cut this off short, like so, and it will get into position like so. I hope this is clear to see, but it should look something like this. Now I've cut this off and I'm going to reuse it as the top of the chimney. I think maybe a little less wider. So this looks good. I'm going to put that on top of here. Something like that. And we have a chimney. Alright. Now this roof stays in place very good because of this construction. As you can see, I can hold it upside down, wiggle it, it's still in position, and I can even open and close it upside down, as you can see. So that looks really good already. Good enough for me. Now I'm going to build a foreground out of snow, and I still have this scrap piece that I use for this background. And first step we're going to do is build a tent on top of another tent. This is a tent, another tent on top of this layer. So that's what I'm going to do now. And I think this tent needs to be a little bit bigger, but not a lot bigger. So this is about one side of the house is about 7 centimeters. I think 9 centimeters to start with is good enough. But I first need to prepare a glue tab. So let's do that. 1 centimeter from the side and about 9 centimeters from here. I'm going to mark that, and another 9 centimeters from that. And that will be the end of the overlapping snow layer. So I'm going to cut it off. Make a scoring line for the glue tab on the other side of the snow layer. And also add a scoring line here. Like so. Now I'm going to fold this over. I used the side with the pencil marks on the inside, like so, something like that. And now I'm going to position this over the house. I'm not really happy with how this hill looks. It's like a snow hill, and I've got space enough to cut a new contour here, so I'm going to do that. Like so. Something like that. No, still not good enough. The purpose of this layer is just to overlap the house a little bit. So you can hide the layer structure of all the tents stacked on top of each other. This looks much better. I'm not really happy with this curved line, so I'm going to let it go down here, up there again. Again, this is like sculpting. It's also almost impossible to make a tutorial like this in half an hour, so I'm going to mark where it needs to end. So I'm positioning it on top of the house and lower it until I'm satisfied with what I'm seeing, and I'll mark it somewhere here. Cut that off. Like so. Nope. that was the wrong side to use as a cutting ruler, so that's much better. Taking a piece of tape, cut it in half. If you have trouble cutting double-sided tape, make sure your scissors are clean. And I like to use nail polish remover for my scissors, and it always works. Just make sure to use it in a ventilated space. Well, that's not pretty. Let's do that again. Lay it flat, more control, like so. Perfect. Now all I need to do is position one side. You can see there's a little bit of smudged, I think it's pencil. Anyway, you first position one side. I'm going to do that here. Also make sure it's parallel. Like so. Now close the card. And as you can see, I'm sneaking this in here and push it firmly. Not too firmly because you'll damage the cover paper, but you get something like this. Well, that was the hard part. Now comes the easy part, and I'll show you why. We're going to add a couple of more layers of these tents. We're connecting tents. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to roughly cut out. I first need to mark how high the hill is going to be. So it's going to be something like that. Let's see. Let's do the same on this side. So now I'm going to cut out a hill shape very loosely, like so. I'm going to cut this in half. I think about, let's see. Let's cut it in half and see what happens. We're going to make snowy hills, and therefore all we need to do is add glue tabs. Therefore I need my scoring pen, which is on this side. Yes. Glue tabs on both sides. So I cut this in half, and now I'm adding a centimeter on both sides. I'm not adding, using a centimeter on both sides as glue tabs. I know it's a long video, but best way to learn this is by taking your time. Also, we're almost finished. That's the good news. The hardest part is done already, which is the house and the roof. And maybe to learn this technique the best is to just make a couple of concepts. It's not a lot of work when you don't have to explain it, but it will also help to get you to get some insights about why it's done this way, how the paper behaves. Putting, I'll just take one half and putting tape on the glue tabs. And in case you're wondering why there's no folding line in the middle, that's because we're going to do this the easy and fast way, which is like this. You get your piece, you make this curved curl. I'll put this a little bit higher or lower. Let's see. Let's use this for this one for this side. Okay, here we go. I'm putting this like roughly in the center of the second tent layer. And I'm going to make a curl, a bow, and position that on the paper. It's nothing that I'm measuring here. So it looks like this. And now when I close the card, let's do it from the other side. I can very gently help it fold into the right position. See? So when I open it a little bit, I can also make a little bit of a sharper folding line. And I have one extra layer of snow. Going to do the same on this side. Maybe make this side a little bit lower so it doesn't... It's okay when it's lower, it's not okay when it's higher, because that doesn't look good. And after we've done the snow layers, we can add the trees. And after that we're done. So if you think, well, this is clear enough for me, I'm ready for the next step, just fast forward and you'll find me adding trees to this pop-up. I hope it's about 10 minutes. It's a long tutorial today, but this is not like just a template or a print file. This is learning how to make something yourself. Again, don't use my exact measurements, but try to find out what works for you. Again, making a curve. This is all roughly, it's not the exact center, it's all fine. Now, fold it shut and, oh, needs a little bit of help. Gonna open it a little bit and help it, and it will look something like this. I'm going to add 2 more, doing that very quick. And after that we're ready to add some trees. I have got this scrap piece. I'm going to mark how high I want this snow hill to be, something like this. I'm going to cut that off. I'm making a huge mess of my desk, but I can help it. It has to be this way. Like so. Going to need smaller pieces of snowy hills, so something like this will do. Using my ruler again, just as a quick template to cut stuff off, like so. So what I want to do now is add these 2 hills here, something like that. Maybe I'll make them a little bit shorter. I don't want them to stick out of the card, so I'll be more careful now about making the pop-up too wide, because that would only make it harder to bring back. Right. Now adding some glue tabs. On both sides, so that's like a centimeter. Like so. Oh, it's a bit too rough. It's fine, it's okay. Preparing these, it's going to be small hills. Taking a piece of tape, cut it in half, add it to the glue tabs on both sides. Oh, almost there, yes. Alright, getting my card here. Again, position this, creating this bow. Something like this. And again, close the card and gently guide it. Like so. Maybe make the fold a little bit sharper. You can also make a lower part. Let's do that. To get a little bit of depth in the landscape, variation. Adding tape on both sides. Right. Positioning it. I'm not measuring, I'm just putting it on a place where I think is right to do. Get this bow again, close the card, and help it to find its way. And also make sure it's a nice and sharp fold. Like so. So we have a house in a landscape. I could add some mountains here. Let's do that very quickly. Just as an example. I'm gonna do 2 mountains on both sides. And I'm not even using my sketching lines, but it's more like a base to start with. That's 1 mountain. That's the second mountain. Like so. Okay. Something like, let's see what looks best. Maybe this. And I think I'm going to cut off this part. No, this part. Something like that. That's good. Let's make this a little less sharp. Right. Well, this doesn't need to stick very good because nothing is pulling it or anything, so I'm just gonna add enough tape so it sticks. Position it, push it down. Do the same with the other mountain. Like so. And remember that we left a little room here when we glued that down. That's so we can stick this mountains in like so. Alright, that's mountains in the background. Now I have prepared all these cutout trees, as you can see. It's a lot of them. So what I'm going to do now is attach these to the hills and create a landscape. I'm going to work from large to small. There are like 3 sizes of trees, as you can see. This is the smallest. And I'm just going to put in trees in the landscape. So I'm starting with the bigger trees, putting tape on the stem. I just cut these out based on I think it was an illustration I found. I can also add one here. Like so. And this is actually the most fun part because you can, just like Bob Ross, decide for yourself how this landscape is going to look. Super easy, very straightforward. Just add trees to the snow hills. Alright. Now I've got a couple of small ones, which is a nice tip because it's a lot of work to cut these out. I print these out, get a sheet of green paper, folded double, and when I cut these out I have 2 trees at the same time. See, so it's all double cutting and it works twice as fast. A couple more trees and we're good. Let's see, maybe a smaller one here will look nice. Oh. Like so. Here's another smaller one. Add it here. Something like this. And I think I'll save the last trees for the background. Let's see. Maybe one here in front of the house would also be nice. Something like this. Maybe not, because it's blocking the important shape of the house. Let's do it here. That's better. A tree there. Okay. I've got 3 more trees to go. Maybe add one here. It won't be visible. What would be a nice spot for extra trees? Again, this is like sculpting, so I'm taking all the time I need to decide what's best to do here. I'll just add one in the corner there. All right. And it looks something like this. That's like a very nice cabin in the woods. It barely fits in the cover. See, there's a little bit of branch sticking out there. I can cut it off. I've got 2 more trees left, but I'm just decided that this is good enough. I can leave these out, no need to put them all in there. So that's it. I know this was a long one, but I hope you also got some base techniques, learned some base techniques, because this is it's a bit more complicated. While the base shape, this tent that we're working with, is very basic. So it's about exploring what's possible and also trying this a couple of times so you get more comfortable with this technique. So that's how you make a snow cabin in the woods, and I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial, and good luck making it. And if you have any results to share with me, I would love to see it, because I think it's a fun technique to use to create landscapes with a lot of depth and volume. So here you go. That's your cabin in the woods pop-up card with a roof that always stays in position. Thanks for watching, happy crafting, and till next time. Bye bye.